Hello and welcome to episode 343 of the Board Game Barrage podcast. My name is Mark. I am the green tank and I'm joined as always by Neil in the orange tank.
Hello.
And Kellen the red tank.
Hello. I am here for the whole episode.
Finally got those audio issues worked out once and for all, so we're good to go. And we are good to go for today's episode, which is going to be all about card games. We are a board game podcast, but today we eschew the boards. We're going to be as boardless, perhaps, we'll see, as we ever are, in doing a card game draft.
We have a penchant
Return to the
for
draft.
Cards. Mark, you should sound smart, re-record. Eschew the boards with the penchant for cards. I don't know what
that.
penchant means, but it sounds like it fits.
It sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
It fits, right?
That works. Yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was genius. So what Kellen said is going to be happening later. And as always with any of our drafts, you can go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft and vote on which collection you like the most and potentially
Money.
$50.
No, what are you
to
talking,
the-
Mark? Why are you so
Helen.
stingy?
Why do you got to keep upping it?
People want money.
You got to bring it back down to make the heights feel
Triple.
higher.
Triple fun.
No, we're not tripling anything.
Triple.
Yeah.
150.
No.
150?
No.
What do you-
100.
what about
we'll meet
inflation?
in the middle.
Mark,
We'll
are
meet in the
you a
middle.
man of the
We'll meet in
people?
middle. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep upping the stakes.
It's fun.
You got to keep the stakes.
I feel
calm.
alive. I feel a verb.
You're like a gambler. You're like at the casino. This is the only time you feel alive. Okay, we'll do 100. We'll do 100. So go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft and vote on the collection that you like the best and potentially win, thanks to Kellen, a $100 gift certificate to the gaming store of your choice. That is not limited to the USA because we have had many winners from around the world, especially Australia. So you Australians out there? Yeah, you are most likely to win this. So I would definitely encourage you to get out the vote. But before we get into that, a discussion about 3 card games, coincidentally, we all played. So Neelan is going to start that off with a discussion about the reprint of Knizia's Money. I'm going to be talking about a Sid Saxon classic Venture. And then finally, Friesa is going to be brought on board when Kellen talks to us about fishing. So Neelan, tell us about Money.
Money. So, Money, as Mark said, is a Rhino Knizia game. This is a fairly old one. This is from 1999 that has just been reprinted in a lovely, lavish reproduction, as All Play often does. But still, in a nice little small box. This is a card game that is primarily oriented around a bidding system, where what you have is a deck of currency cards. There are, I think, 7 different currencies, if I remember correctly, and each of the currencies come in 9 different cards with different nominations on them, 20, 30, all the way up to, I think it is 60, something like that. But there's 3 20s, 3 30s, a 40, a 50, and a 60. All those cards get shuffled and distributed to the players to create your opening hand. And then round by round, what you're going to do is simultaneously choose any number of those cards to hold face down, go 3, 2, 1, reveal. Everyone reveals their bids, and you place it face up on the table in front of you. There's also a randomized 2 arrays in the middle of just kind of the bank cards, like bank 1, bank 2. And what you're doing is bidding for the right to pick from anything on the table in highest bid order. So whoever bid the most amount of money gets to choose something from the table to take. That could just be keeping your own bid. You just take it back into your hand. It's yours. You're done. Or you could take someone else's bid. So then you put your bid in where their cards were. You take their bid. That's now your hand. You're also out of the round. Or you could swap with one of the center arrays. So you're always just exchanging what you bid with one of the lots that's sitting around the table, whether it's another player's or the middle or so on. As soon as you take another player's bid, they go immediately. Otherwise, you proceed in sort of reverse bid order until everyone has taken something from the table, and that is the end of the round. You reset the middle arrays, you start another round, and you keep going until you go through the entire deck. What you're trying to do at the end of the game, very, very simple, is just assemble collections of individual currencies. So for each currency that you have in your hand at the end of the game, you will score based on what range the money is in. And this is one of the things I really liked about this, which is that, if the total amount of currency you can have in any one type is 300, you're only really scoring well if you're getting above 200 in that currency. If you're scoring above 100, you're only getting just kind of the difference between that amount and 100. Let's say you score 150, you're only scoring 50 points for that currency. And if you score below 100, you're getting 0 for that currency. So you definitely want to be at 100, but you really want to be above 200 because then you get the full amount. So a big payout if you get between 200 and 300 in the amount. So you're like incentivized to specialize. You're also getting bonuses for sets of cards. Every 320 of a specific currency you have gets you bonus points. Every 330 of a specific currency you have gets you bonus points. And then there's also these gold and silver cards kind of thrown into the mix that are just flat points as you collect them. So a bunch of different incentives as you're grabbing these bids, but because the cards you're picking up are also the cards you're spending on subsequent rounds, it's always this evaluation of, okay, do I get out of this now because it's kind of worth a lot of money for a good bid? I now see an opportunity to grab something that's going to be worth a lot of points. Do I kind of spend what I got last round in order to take that? Lots of just kind of fun switching back and forth between what you're trying to acquire as the game progresses. Callan, you also played Money with me. What did you think about this?
So I have Money, the small box card game version without anthropomorphic animals. And I love anthropomorphic animals. Do you know what I mean? Add them to everything. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Add them to Dogs of War. You know what I mean? You know what I'm referencing? But listen, I thought that the system that this game has is interesting, whereby you are deciding whether or not you're going to steal other folks' bids. And then the idea that you may, mid-game, just, dump out of a type of currency and go into another currency. I thought it was interesting. But I don't know that the game rose to, the upper echelon of Knizia card game titles for me, where I'm like, ooh, I want to run that back. Let's say a High Society, which is another Reiner Knizia card game that I'm sure has an anthropomorphic animal edition if that's what you're into. But I am not a furry, so I reject Money by Reiner Knizia. There's my review. Put that on the box.
I think that kind of gets to the heart of it, which is that while I think it's a good, competent game, it is, after all, a Reiner Knizia game, and someone saw enough value in it to reprint it. It's a good at what it's doing game. I agree that it's not really in the upper echelons of even Reiner Knizia bidding games. Even the ones that are kind of the small boxy card game stuff you said, like High Society or Modern Art or that caliber of game, it's just not really at the same level of those for me. And I think that there are a lot of other games are kind of operating on a similar space now, that it's much more competitive than when this game necessarily was released. So does it hold its own still? I'm not sure.
Let's have a sidebar. We could do a song for this. Mark, da 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 da, it's a sidebar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So put that in
right here.
It's okay. Well, yeah, the music will go, right? Right there? Okay, great.
Music's already going, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So now sidebar. It's there's so much in media, movies, TV, books, and games that would you recommend people play a 7 out of 10? And I say that for movies, books, TV, and board games. Is a 7 out of 10 worth investing time in?
I think that that's a hard question. I mean, I think that if it holds some special significant value other than just, I don't know, man, if I played a lot of Money growing up and oh my God, I like
No, why are you talking about money? Neelan, respect the sanctity of the sidebar. We're not talking about money. Right? This is a sidebar.
Play the music again, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
okay, go back. Yeah, well, okay. People need to understand the sidebar. Okay. Are you with
me?
No,
I think that you are in principle right for my taste, which is to say that
it again, Sam.
I find it hard to justify that these days when there's so much good stuff available. But that feels like a hard truth to accept. That there's no space in the world for almost
7 out of 10s.
Yeah,
for good stuff.
Wow. Well, that got depressing. Mark, you have a thought on our sidebar?
Yeah. You're talking about specifically board games or the world in general?
No. We're
guess
sidebar.
yeah.
So it's the world in general.
I'll restart the music. Sorry.
Yeah.
Restart
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think I can guess where you're going, Kellen, and I think I'm with you that it is hard to recommend sevens or things that are just good, given the amount of stuff out there. You know, it depends on where a person is in their like board gaming journey, because I think if you're early on, you just want to play everything, and I get that, and I think that's a cool, natural part of getting into the hobby, but I think once you're in it for a while, then you start wanting like the more interesting stuff or the greater stuff, because you realize how much really, really good stuff there is out there.
There is nothing more precious than your attention. And so when people give it to you, you have to treasure it. Ergo, there's no room in your life for 7 out of 10s. Now we do the blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Back.
Yeah.
Sidebar adjourned.
Sidebar over.
Money is interesting to play once if you're a board game content creator who has to make content about games. And for everyone else, I would say moving on. And comings and goings, oops, all foreplay. Here's my box. Can you hear it?
Going into the trash.
I hope you
Wow.
heard that.
That is a judgment right there.
No, it's not. No one likes Dr. Kanichi
Throwing
more
a game
than
into
me.
a trash is not a judgment.
I didn't throw it in the
I'm
trash.
sorry, sir. You've judged the game. Where'd you throw it?
It's
Not
you can
in-
see it on the floor behind. Don't tell them I put it in the trash. I'm not Mr. Vassal. This is not
What were you
Hawaii or whatever else he threw in the garbage can or off his roof.
Okay, so you were by doing the sound effect of a thrown game. You were saying this is a good one. Just clarifying.
Yep, you figured me out.
That is Money by Old Play. Find it in trash receptacles near you.
And let's not even get started on the Kickstarter deluxe exclusive components.
All right, let's talk about another card game about money. I got a chance to play Venture, published by a lot of folks. The version I played was a Eagle Griffin edition, but it's been published by a lot of different companies and designed by the one and only Sid Saxon. And for those interested in hearing more about this foundational designer, feel free to check out our Designer Spotlight episode all about him in episode 282. Venture is a card game ostensibly about money and building mega corporations. But if that sounds like a lot, don't worry about it, because it's really just a card game at its heart. The way it works is that on your turn, you're going to have an array of different companies represented by cards in front of you. The companies come in 6 different suits, each suit representing its own industry, but that's not really important. Each one is a suit. And each card is going to have a number of letters from A through F on top. It might just be a single letter, like a single B, for example, or it might be A, B, E, F, for example. The number of letters corresponds to the cost of the company. So a company/card with just one letter is going to cost the minimum, which is 8,000, whereas a company with 5 of the 6 letters, which is the maximum number of letters a card can have, is going to cost the maximum, which is 24. I should say 24 million. We're talking about big bucks here. So it's 8 million up to 24 million. We're not talking about thousands here. So the main thing you're going to be doing on your turn is buying these cards, building your mega corporations. And the way that you do that is with these money cards that you can have in your hand. These cards range from 1 million to 20 million, and you get 2 of them per turn at the end of your turn. So you might be saying to yourself, well, it seems pretty unfair that my opponent might draw at the end of their turn 2 $20 million cards, and I draw a 1 and a 3 million, and how am I supposed to work with that in this game? Well, there's an interesting twist here, because the 1, 3, 5, and $8 million cards, which are the lowest value ones, all have one of 3 symbols on them. There's either a circle, square, or triangle. And if you collect 2 cards with the same symbol but of different denominations, that set is now worth 16 million. So if I have a 1 million diamond card and a 3 million diamond card, that set is now worth 16. If you get 3 cards with the same symbol but of different denominations, that's worth 32. And finally, if you get all 4 of these low value cards but with the same symbol on it, that set is now worth 64 million. So it's an incentive to hang on to some of these lower value cards and give them a little bit more worth, because they can really multiply exponentially. Anyway, so on your turn, you're going to be using these money cards to buy different companies, and then you're going to place the company cards that you buy in front of yourself in different sort of piles. And the cards can go on the same pile as other cards as long as they share at least one letter among all the cards in that set or pile, but all the suits are different. So, for example, I could put an orange, a red, and a blue card in front of me in one sort of pile as long as they all shared at least one letter in common. Preferably, you want to have more than one letter in common in these sets, but you must have at least one letter in common to stack cards on a set. Throwing a wrench into your plans to do this and promoting some interactivity between the players is another type of card that you can get in your hand, aside from the money cards, which are these takeover cards. You play them on somebody else, on one of your opponents, in order to take over one of their cards to your own set. Anybody else's top card on any of their piles is eligible for a takeover card that you play. You're doing all of this for the third type of card that you can draw. Again, we've got the money cards, you've got these takeover cards, and finally, there are these basically scoring cards that you can draw. I think they're called profit cards. When these cards are drawn, the game stops, and everybody scores all the piles they have in front of them, all the sets they have in front of them. The way that works is that you must have at least 3 cards in a set to score. Again, sharing at least one letter to score anything. But if you have a pile containing all 6 different suits, you get 20 victory points. It's not called victory points, it's called something else, but you get 20 points in that case. And that full 6-suited set is exponentially better than having 5. I think having 5 cards in a set is worth 8 points, all the way down to having 3 cards in a set is worth 1 point. So getting all 6 cards in your set is a really high jump in terms of scoring, and that makes you, again, a target to people playing these takeover cards, because once you see somebody having a full set of all 6 suits, you are very much incentivized to take them down a notch. In addition, if you're able to construct a set that doesn't just share one letter in common, but multiple letters in common, which can be tough, then you multiply your score when these scoring things happen by the number of letters that the pile has in common. So again, if I have that pile that contains all 6 suits, I would get 20 points, but if all the cards in that set share, say, 3 letters, which again is exceedingly hard, then I multiply that 20 points by 3 and be worth 60 points. So interesting decision points in this game are whether or not to hold on to smaller denomination money, because whenever you make any transaction in the game, you don't get change. So it's sort of like do you want to give exact change to not lose money? But then again, you're losing those low value money cards that can multiply if you have a set. There's also the decision you have to construct these high scoring sets of cards and then again make yourself a target for your opponents. Anyway, after playing Venture, I was surprised to have heard so little about it. In all my years of board gaming, you hear lots about other Saxon games, and justifiably so. You hear a lot about,
Acquire.
I'm the boss. Acquire, of course, Sleuth, Can't Stop.
Bazaar.
There you go. A whole bunch of them.
Focus, which I've never heard of, but is on his list.
I don't think you hear about Venture very often. And I personally would put Venture up with all those cards. I think in many ways it feels sort of like Acquire in a card game sort of form. And I think it does what you want card game versions of bigger games to do, which is have that same sort of feeling, but with maybe less rules overhead and with less time investment. It feels like a card game, quicker version of Acquire in a lot of ways. And so this game is super cheap. Again, it's been published by a bunch of different companies. I think it's like $10 on the secondary market. I think new copies are not much more than that. And I'd say if you're a fan of like old school, simple rules, economic games, or not even economic games, just card games, I'd say definitely check it out. Many editions come in a very, very small box. Just a card game, simple to teach. I think family members who maybe aren't board gamers but are into traditional card games, like this has a lot of like echoes of Rummy style games where you're trying to put melds down. I think it would work for them. Again, not overly complicated. I think it would work with Venture. So again, this is Venture, designed by Sid Saxion and published by a whole bunch of folks, including Eagle Griffin. I know 3M did a version of this. There's a lot of copies out there.
I see Mr. Jamie of the Secret Cabal has this rated as an 8 out of 10, which is interesting. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard anyone speak about it ever, so you're a trendsetter. Yeah.
There you go, me and Jamie.
But you're speaking about one of my favorites, so I'm jealous that I have not tried this.
Yeah, I think I know you're big on Acquire, and it's definitely not the exact same thing. But when I was playing it, I forgot for a second that it was a Saxon game. I was just like, "What game does this remind me of?" And Acquire came to mind, and then obviously a moment later, I'm like, "Oh, actually, that obviously makes a lot of sense because this is a Sid Saxon game." So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. But why don't you tell us about fishing?
All right, we could have called this episode "Oops, All Card Games." But that was too sexual. The game that I want to talk about today is called Fishing by Friedman Friese, continuing in a long-running tradition that no one else understands but him, of F and Green. This is a trick-taking game that follows a pretty odd arc, whereby the more tricks you win, the more points you score, but the your deck is, whereby the other players, each round when you win, you score points for all the fish that you captured, aka the other cards and the tricks that you have won, but for every card that you do not have with which to draw, you draw from a graduated deck of new cards for your deck. And those cards are very straightforward at first, of being just more valuable numbers of the deck. So when the game starts, all the cards are out, but none of the 11 through 18s for any of the suits are in the game. But those get added with this deck. So the first person who wins no tricks in the first round's drawing a bunch of cards, they're drawing 11s. And in the first hand, no one had any 11s. So they're winning everything. All of a sudden, the Trump suit is showing up. At the first couple of hands, there might not even be a Trump suit. Then you get cards with special powers like a 0 that can catch other cards, or these sort of buoys that affect the next trick in a special way, like the lowest value wins the next trick. And so essentially the game is this arc whereby the beginning is one thing, the middle is another thing, and you want to peak at the right moment, which is true for life as it is for this game. But it does have a weird tension where, like, if you just win every trick in the first 3 rounds, I think you will definitely lose the game. But, like, when do you want to win the tricks? Because you must score points to win the game. I liked this game and was appreciative of the novel systems. Neelan, you played Fishing for Friedman Friese with us.
Yeah.
How do you declare this game?
I think novelty is exactly right. And I think I maybe liked it a little bit more, but it's incredibly silly. Like, it reminds me of the sort of thing which is very in vogue right now, which is, hey, here's a trick-taking game to show your friends that love trick-taking games, because it's goofy and it's playing off of trick-taking, but it's doing something really weird and inventive with it. That said, it's certainly not a trick-taker's gamery game in the way that a lot of the other stuff like that has come up in recent years. Like, I would say that that's kind of more in like the Shinzawa realm of things, but like this just kind of feels like, hey, we're goofing off, we're all getting crazy cards, the cards get so and so wild. Like the first time you play a card and it's like a 15 or something and people don't even realize that card was even in the deck to begin with, like that's just fun. And that happens repeatedly towards like the second half of the game, and then you have those moments that Kellen described where you've been stumbling through the first half, but you mill through the entire of that special deck at the right time, and suddenly your following on hands are just like dominating and you're just getting a mass of points. And doing that at the right time, as Kellen said, is everything, because you don't want to do that right before everyone else is about to get even stronger cards. So it got some fun systems in there that I quite like, but it is very much a lark for sure.
Yeah, it is interesting because it's not like so silly as to be Mino Dice / Tournament at Avalon / like Skull King, but it's also not like we're in a hardcore death match of wits. And so it sits somewhere in the middle of that, which I think works for a lot of people who, again, are cycling through a lot of board games or trick-taking games. But it would not be one of my must recommends. But again, it is fun to have that sort of almost deck building vibe to what you're doing. And then it's fun to steal stuff for your deck, and it's fun to see your deck like leveling up, or your hand, or whatever you want to call it, in a way that like feels Friesa-like. And, again, everything can't be a 7 out of 10, but I would say this is more interesting to try than money. So fishing is better than money, but nothing could beat Mr. Saxon, rest in peace, who is dead.
Okay, well, I was sort of thrown for a loop there. I was going to ask, could you see anybody wanting to play this like 3 or 4 times? This feels like so novelty. I have not played it myself, so I can't speak from experience, but this feels like a very try it once sort of thing, or try it once with different people and show them the game, but doesn't seem like there's much of a draw to play it over and over again.
I was hoping that there was more in the powers, like wackier, crazier stuff, because like you actually look at the rule book and you're like, hey, there's not that many. I didn't play it many times, so I don't know how that arc, the early game versus the mid game versus the late game, like it would follow pretty similar arcs each time. So it does feel like it might be that type of game which shines at a convention, where you don't have something to play and then you rotate through these rounds.
And you have the fun surprise of the powerful cards coming later, but that's sort of,
I think that's a fair categorization, but, I'm not playing high-level fishing play. I think it's funny to couch these caveats, assuming that there's someone out there that's playing fishing 100 to 1,000 times.
Right.
My guess is no one ever has, and it's also possible that no one ever will. But that is the mass consumption of board games. Be mindful of your attention.
I'm going to check this right now. The person who's played fishing the most, how many times do you think they've played that game?
As by BGG.
As by BGG, yes. Of those who have logged their plays, that's correct.
Because I believe someone has play tested it more than 100 times. I want to be super clear there. I do believe that exists. But of logged plays, I would say someone has logged, I don't know, this is going to be crazy. Someone's going to have a solo mode. 46 plays.
You are one off the correct answer.
Wow.
45.
Oh, my gosh.
45 is the most, and then it drops 32, 28, 27, 26, 22, 20. So, I mean, this game's been out for over a year, and nobody's played it really. Not many people have played it certainly not over 20 times that have logged games. Again, I know that is a minority of board game players, but that's interesting. Interesting thing to check into.
And what is the ranking for the man or woman who has played it 45 times?
Oh, I know this. This is Michael. I forget how to pronounce the name. It's spelled Weber, but I don't think it's pronounced that way. But I think he does playtest for Frieza, actually. So that's funny. I'm pretty sure Michael does playtest for Frieza. I don't know if he's given it a score. He probably has not. But he used to do really good how to play videos, especially about Frieza games. Let's see. So actually, you can probably throw that. He probably is one of the playtesters, and so maybe the 32 is more accurate. Oh, he's given it a 9. Yes, he's the person who's played the most. He's given it a 9. But I think he is a playtester for Frieza. And he used to make, I don't know if he still does, but he used to make very, very good how to play videos on YouTube.
Does he have green hair?
He does not. He does not. Okay. That's where he draws the line. He'll playtest for Frieza, but he won't follow him that far.
And he is not Frieza. That was what I was checking.
He is not Frieza. He is not Frieza. Fellow German, but not Frieza. All right, let's get into the draft. So, as we mentioned earlier, and as the games we've talked about in the upfront have hinted is not the right word because we've flat out told you we're going to draft card games, but this is a very card game focused episode. And so we are going to be doing a draft of card games, 5 rounds, snake draft style. It's been a while since we've done this. Anybody want to go first?
Do we know who won the last one?
I do not.
I can find that real quick because I was actually just in the middle of pulling it up. I think that was a Kellen. Okay, we'll say Kellen won.
Okay.
All right.
So Kellen has won. What was that?
Nothing.
So Kellen, you evidently won the last draft, so you get to pick where you draft.
See, the problem with picking first is just the pressure,
the weight
of people
and
saying,
the pressure. That's true.
You dummy. You should have picked Wingspan, but we haven't agreed upon the definition of a card game. Yeah, what are the terms of our gentleman's agreement here?
I think we go in with no terms, and then if anybody says anything dumb, we fight.
Yeah, I think that we kind of all have a rough idea of what we think we mean when we say a card game.
I think the one thing we have agreed on is that we are not going by the BGG definition.
Yeah.
Or how they classify games, because literally any game with cards in BGG is defined as a card game, which we are not going with.
And I think just to like put the pin in like what Kellen said earlier, like Arc Nova is not a card game in the context of of this. As a game that is almost entirely cards, you know that it's not a card game in the grand scheme of things.
I feel like Mark invented a new slogan for the podcast. We go in with no terms, and then when someone says something dumb, we fight. Is that what you said?
Right.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's the perfect.
Yeah. That is sort of our ethos, yeah.
Yeah, that's the podcast.
No preparation, dive in,
Okay,
fight.
not you changing it here.
Too
No
far.
preparation.
Too far. I've got
Tons
too
of
far.
preparation. Hours and hours.
Right.
I am happy to go first.
Okay, do you want to pick the rest of the order just for funsies?
Yeah.
Oh, are you laughing at me? Kellen, Nealon, Mark, right?
Kellen, Neil, and Mark. Okay.
Is that not what we do?
Oh, no. I just meant literally like pick who goes second, pick who goes...
K, M, oh
Yeah.
no. But I didn't do it at L, M.
You did. That is not the agreed upon order.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But
Well,
okay,
let's
Kellen,
gloss
Neil,
over.
and Mark is what we're doing? Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that I go first so that I can go high where others will go low. And that is to pick what is undoubtedly the best card game of all time. It is my number one game. It is a game that I just bought 3 copies of the 4th edition to leave sealed and give as gifts, because I like to do a little like wedding present where you give them a game you know they'll like, like something code names adjacent, and then you just throw in a little innovation, you know what I mean? To wish the couple a happy marriage. Innovation is way amazing. It is way more game than you could ever play. You could play it hundreds of times. Mr. Fishing, not Friedman Friesa, 45 plays. Hundreds of plays within Innovation. I could not be happier to have this in my list. I know it is a fan favorite of people who listen to the podcast. It is on the upswell. It goes up. We have a new edition of Innovation. It goes to 11 now, everybody. It is the perfect first pick of this draft. I almost thought I could maybe steal it in round 2, but then I know the two of you would do it out of spite, and we would have to fight. So I am picking Innovation. I'm very proud of it. I can predict what Mark will pick. Nealon, it is up to you to stop him.
Well, I mean, I literally had a 1 and 2 here, and if you hadn't picked Innovation, I assume you would have picked the other one, and I would have picked Innovation. So I'm going to pick what is the number 2, which is Race for the Galaxy.
There it is. Get him.
Yeah.
Got him.
And I have to imagine that was going to be one of Mark's first picks.
Got him.
Yeah, I think it is a funny example of a game that I don't particularly love, and I think I've made that position clear over the years, but I know that it is beloved. I know that people love it. I wish I liked it more. I want to play more of it. I've still not really played it in person as much as it deserves. I've mostly played it on BGA, and kind of, that's not the ideal way to play a card game at any rate. But yeah, Race for the Galaxy, beloved classic card game.
I would actually argue Race for the Galaxy on BGA is one of the best ways to play it, just because of the upkeep. But
that's interesting. But for whatever reason, that has not caused it to rise, I guess, for me personally.
I get it. I certainly would have taken both those games probably if they were available to me here. But that's not what I was thinking you were alluding to when you said, we know what Mark's going to take. Because I thought you were saying that I was going to take a different game that I have championed quite a bit on the show. But I'm not going to take it. Because for me, it falls outside of the definition of a card game, as great as it is. So I'm not going to be taking. That's right. Exactly. So instead,
because of the dice that don't do jack.
And it has a little board, but the bigger thing are the dice. For me, the dice are a step too far. I think you can get away with games having other components, like Race for the Galaxy has little chips. I think that's fine, but the dice for me are a step too far. So what I'm going to go with for my first pick is, I feel like I'm already torpedoing my chances to win, but the one that I want to take here is Hanabi.
Oh,
I think Hanabi is the best cooperative card game there is. And my feelings on Hanabi have fluctuated over the years, but having played it a little bit more in the last couple years, I've really appreciated how good it is as a card game. And I think it was, a very refreshing take in card games. I mean, card games have been played forever. As long as people have been playing games, card games have been among the first games played. And I think Hanabi did sort of like break and do things in a unique, fresh way. And I think it's like a one-of-a-kind game. So I'm going to take Hanabi for my first one, which again, I know is a surprise.
Take two. You get to take two, so...
That's true.
Now you're going in with the heavy hitter.
Do you see a heavy hitter?
No, not.
I see a couple.
I don't see. I see nothing. I don't see. I'm not a squealer. I'm not going to squeal, man.
All right, I'm gonna go with what I think is my favorite of the card games remaining, and also is thankfully a very popular one. I'm gonna go with Marvel Champions.
I thought that's what you were championing earlier, but it wasn't clever wordplay.
Right. This is close to not qualifying for me, but it's more out of the sort of volume of the cards, and I don't think that should be a disqualifier. Like, there's a lot of cards in the game, and I generally, when I think card games, I think like, you can hold everything in your hand and you can sort of play it on a card table, and this is maybe a little bigger than that, but I think this is Marvel Champions, the card game, and I think it is a card game, and I think it does qualify for this list. So going Marvel Champions for number 2.
For some reason, I thought that was not going to get picked by you. But
that's what you were going to pick. Interesting.
Yeah, that would have been.
Have you played it?
No, but I know people love
the love. Yeah, of course.
So I think I'm going to go. It's funny because I'm now looking down my list and I'm trying to think like these are the ones I think Kellen's probably going to pick. So I know they won't make it back to me. This is the one I think there's a chance makes it back to me, and this is the one I know will make it back to me. But there's a kind of in reverse order of how I'd want to pick them, unfortunately. So I think I'm going to go with.
What is this in that list of like you think it's going to make it back, or do you not want to?
Maybe I won't say. Okay. I am going to go with Dominion.
I mean, did I think that you were going to pick anything but every game of Dominion ever created as your second pick?
Okay, well, I guess we should caveat what we mean by that. So, I mean, probably base Dominion is probably what for the.
No, I mean, I understand. It's a great game. It's a great show. But it's definitely a card game.
Totally.
So.
It is still arguably, I think to a lot of people, still the best deck builder that exists. And also, pure deck builders that are not just deck builder hybrids are rarer and rarer. And Dominion is still probably one of the best. It's been consistently in my top 50 as long as we've been doing the podcast. Fantastic game.
Absolutely love Dominion. Love the love. Love Nealon for picking it. Shout out to Vaccarino. Shout out to Kingdom Builder, underrated. Shout out to all the expansions. Shout out to Rising Sun, which I have for the Apocalypse. All right, with my second pick, because I don't have to think too hard, because I can pick again, is a modern card game classic. That is Scout. There is just no way that I could not pick Scout here. Scout, for many board gamers in the current hobby, is the quintessential new card game. This is the game where you play cards from your hand, but you cannot rearrange your hand, and you're constantly trying to sort of play a card from the middle to combine cards into new runs and whatnot. It's an amazing game. Oink took an amazing game and then made a new version that just made it more accessible. This is in Target. This is just one of the, I think, best board games / card games that's come out in the last 10 years. I am very happy to have it on my list. That is Scout, my second pick. Now, here is where the rub hits the road.
As they say.
Right?
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Classic.
Same.
Because he already told me I couldn't pick Arc Nova or they'd fight me. Nealon says, through the ages, not over my older body. And if someone tries to pick all of Magic the Gathering, we will end the podcast. There will be no more podcast. Someone attempts this, okay? I'm just saying it out loud. I just can't decide if it's time to double down. Do you know what I mean?
I know a couple of ways that could go.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on that.
All right. I am going to double down. I'm going to shore up my weakness. I'm going to select another game from the master of card game design. This is the perennially out of print Glory to Rome, a fantastic board game experience that is all cards. Typified, oops, all cards. It is a real board game. It has been remade in an inferior version. I'm sorry if you believe that Matainai is better. I'm sorry if one of you two yuckfucks drafts Matainai later. You are drafting in the wake of what is Glory to Rome. Don't be sorry. Be sorry that you can't have it because it is very out of print. It is an excellent game and one that I still play to this day, which does not happen with that many older designs. I love Glory to Rome, and I think that only my penchant for chaos makes me love innovation more than Glory to Rome. But a game just full of a strong structure that like goes into chaos, which is about as much love as I can give. And I think I may lose some people for over going on Classic Carl, but I also think I'm shoring up, I'm double dipping so that one of the two of you cannot have a similar offering. If you want to taste, vote Kellen.
Until one of us takes Matainai.
Yeah, I say you could do it. You could draft in the wake if you want to be that guy. If you want to be the Matainai guy, there's always a Matainai guy in a Discord. Doesn't know what he's talking about, but there's a Matainai guy.
I am not going to pick Matainai. It's interesting. I don't know if I'm wrong about this, but I am going to pick the crew. And I guess in the interest of picking the crew, I will pick the crew mission Deep Sea, which is the more recent one that is, I believe, generally considered to be superior to the original. The crew it's funny, like this is not even just me saying it for the sake of saying it, but when Mark mentioned Hanabi as the best cooperative card game, I did have to check myself because I think I might prefer the crew personally even. And I get a sense that it is more beloved, but that is obviously, there's a lot of recency in that for sure. But yeah, I'm going to go with the crew, Mission Deep Sea.
Yeah, obviously this is the other big contender for best cooperative card game, but I do think Hanabi is the better game. So my first pick for this turn of picks is easy. I'm going to go Arboretum, one of my favorite games. And I just think in terms of like super stressful, fun games, I've said this a million times, but Arboretum is hard to beat. Again, another thing I've said a million times is Arboretum is the game for me that on your turn you always wish you could pass. And that is, in a weird way, high praise to me. For my fourth pick, this is a little more difficult. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go two-player here, because one thing that you like to have with card games, or one place where card games I think shine, is that, again, you're at a card table, you and the person you're playing against across from you just have a hand of cards, and it's a game you can sort of play and chat while you're playing. So I'm going two-player here, and I'm going Knizia. I'm going Lost Cities.
Mm-hmm. Oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite two-player, certainly one of my favorite two-player card games, and one that is, again, simple to teach, plays really quickly, but has a bunch of interesting decisions, but you don't have to be too stressed out while you play it. So, yeah, Lost Cities.
I am tempted to go with another oldie as well here. But I'm scared about it, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is a Uwe Rosenberg classic, Bohnanza.
Unexpected. This is unexpected, but fun.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think it's interesting because I don't know that it has a lot of the newer crowd on board, but it is, for whatever it's worth, it is a game that I've seen resurging more and more in the last few years, where I feel like I've heard more people talking about Bohnanza in the last like 2 or 3 years than I had in the previous 10. So I don't know what that's all about, but Bohnanza is an excellent classic game of trading by Uwe Rosenberg. Yeah.
This is very interesting. All right, so I have 2 more picks and I'm done here, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you guys each get 1 more. Okay, so to do this list, and for both of these two to not pick Tichu is sort of like spitting on card games as a thing. Who champions card games but the red tank me? Tichu is an oldie, but still a huge pinnacle of design in terms of ladder climbing versus trick taking. You cannot have more fun than Tichu as a partner. Neelan is the worst partner, which is why he has not chosen Tichu. But I don't know how you get out of this without selecting Tichu.
I could bring myself to
I think I think there's a portion of our listenership that are going to vote for you just based on that pick.
It's so and it's so good. It's so good. I think that like genuinely card games are better than board games. And I look at this list and I'm in love. And again, I'm not saying, outside of the votes, I'm just saying this is it. Here we go. With the last one, I am going to betray myself to get the W, to get the win. I am going to select a very popular party-ish trick-taking game that is beloved, and that is Skull King. I just have to have it. Like, wow. I think there are higher-ranked games. If we just sort by the top 100 and choose the one with the card game, yeah, you could get your Earth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I will sit with these 5 games, and I will say card games are better than board games. Look, I'm packing. Kellen, here, guys. What?
I see a person wearing a robe and a pointy hat and holding a staff, and they're crying because you didn't select a wizard.
I always put on my robe and wizard hat, okay? At any time. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, you don't select your wizard.
I put on my robe and wizard hat. For shame. So that is my 5th pick, Skull King. An absolute fantastic party-ish trick-taking game in the vein of Wizard, but made popular by Mr. Grandpa Beck himself, and that will round out my top 5.
So one of my ones, which is probably contentious, which I guess I'll just ask about, is Res Arcana.
I think that works.
I think that works for me. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like his Splendor, that's the like...
Yeah, that's where it gets... Yeah, that's interesting.
Splendor's probably
I
not.
ruled out Splendor, funnily enough, just because it's... I mean, even though it is practically cards, it's not, but like, yeah.
I would be fine with someone picking Splendor, this is just me. I understand why other people might.
Yeah. I'm going to do a quick skim down my list just to make sure that there's nothing else more pressing than this next pick that I've potentially forgotten. There's a couple of options here I'm considering, but I think I'm going to go with Res Arcana, a engine building game by Thomas Lehman. Great game.
Double Lehman. You made a Lehman sandwich.
I did. Yeah, that's true.
He double dipped. We both double dipped.
We all dipped. Yeah, exactly. Now
Mark,
it's up to Mark.
Are you gonna? Yeah.
I got to go with a Hanabi.
You must pick another Bowser game.
I shan't.
There is a very high-ranking card game, though. It's sitting there.
Oh, is there? Interesting. I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to suss it out. So I've got a couple that I am considering.
Right.
I guess there's no harm in talking it out. So there's obviously, if I'm not going to do Biblios, for sales there as a lesser Biblios. That feels interesting, but I don't know. I could do instead of a Bowser sandwich, I could do a Kinesia sandwich and go modern art. That's not what I'm considering. And then I'm also considering appealing to the youth. Should I
Getting
appeal
out
to
the
youth?
young, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to look to the future. I'm going to look to the kids. I'm going to go with one of the hotter games out there. I'm going to go party because I like to party. And I'm going to go with That's Not a Hat.
Oh, I thought you're... Okay. I'm very proud of you, Mark. I thought you were going to go Lord of the Rings.
I've grown.
The trick-taking game, and I was...
No. Me? You honestly thought I was going to do that?
Well, you said I'm appealing to the children. You said it's hot.
No. I would never do that. I would never
go
I can't
full
believe
token.
You thought I would do that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. No.
Thank God.
Absolutely not. What was the Bowser sandwich game?
Seven Wonders Duel?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Hell no.
Well, that's very popular 2-player.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels very board gamey. I don't know. It's like, all right. You did good.
Anyway.
Sir.
So let's go over our list. Kellen.
I drafted Innovation, Scout, Glory to Rome, Tichu, and Skull King.
I picked Race for the Galaxy, Dominion, The Crew, Mission Deep Sea, Bohnanza, and Res Arcana.
And I went with Hanabi, Marvel Champions the card game, Arboretum, Lost Cities, and That's Not a Hat. So go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft. Pick the one that you like the most, and we will be selecting someone who votes to win a $100 gift certificate to the game retailer of their choice. And that'll be fun. Otherwise, you can go to boardgamebarrage.com/Discord to talk about what your favorite card games are. You can do that on our podcast channel where we discuss the latest episode. And if you want to discuss other things, you can do it there. You can email us at boardgamebarrage@gmail.com. You can talk to us on different forms of social media that are easily searchable. Thank you, as always, to Heart Society for our intro and outro song, What's on Your Mind, Kid? And until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Get out the vote, youths.